follow the tide around, follow the bait around, really, you know, cover some ground until you find these fish. We have fish migrating through the area, so they're coming in here in waves and they're pushing out in waves. So really, if you're finding fish, it's going to be more often than not that you're going to find a biomass of fish. There they are. Make a long cast. We're not wasting too much time in an area if we don't see a lot of life, if we don't mark a lot of fish. We're really just trying to cover ground and find these biomasses as they push through the area. Hey everyone, I'm Captain Ray Jarvis with Salt of the Earth Sport Fishing out of Westport, Mass. We had a pretty productive day on the water today. You know, we were pretty much concentrating on fish in the rips over towards Vineyard Sound and on the Elizabeth Islands. And you know, we caught them in a variety of ways, mainly top water and on jigs. So we're really just focusing on shallow water feeds where bait is getting pushed up and over shelves and over ledges and stuff like that. And the approach is either surface or subsurface, but again, it's going to be, for the most part, a pretty shallow bite. Good morning, welcome to Salty Cape. We are tight, first cast, and on the rips here in Vineyard Sound. We're looking at fish that are feeding on squid, and we can kind of tell that by the size of the birds here in the area. We got larger birds that are kind of taking their opportunity to eat squid that come up on the surface while they're being chased by bass. So basically we kind of approached the rip here, started throwing some top water right on the seam where the water changes from calm to a little ripply, and went tight. Nice fish, probably 30 inches or so. We're here on the rips in Vineyard Sound, and these fish are feeding on squid, so we're throwing the Dog Walker here in kind of the new sand eel pattern. And you know, not necessarily representing a sand eel, but you know, reminiscent of the squid that these fish are feeding on as well. And really, you know, that color is pretty close to the color of these squid that are coming up top. So we'll get this one back in the water and see if we can get some more. So we're going back up to the rip here as we kind of drift over the hump that we're fishing. You know, as we get past that, we can kind of tell because we're not really marking fish anymore. So we kind of come back up, go past it slightly, and allow the current to bring us back over the structure. As we get to the structure here, we can see almost immediately that the fish are kind of relating to that little hump that we're fishing. Pretty much every time we pull back up, we can see there's a stack of fish sitting right there. The retrieve on those plugs today was really, you know, not speeding it in, not really crawling it, but kind of a medium-paced retrieve. Just creating a little bit of commotion, getting the attention of those fish, and then really allowing them to kind of take the wheel from there. I mean, once we got their attention, the fish would come up and take shots at it. So, you know, kind of a medium approach, nothing too fast, nothing too slow, but right down the middle there. We just came back up to the rip. I'm casting parallel to the rip, just kind of presenting this lure along that edge as long as I can. These fish are really kind of holding right on the edge, waiting for the squid to come to them. You know, the bait's kind of flushing down the sound right now. We have a westbound tide. So as we go back up sound, we're drifting down, and these fish really are in kind of a small area, hanging right on the edge of this rip. picked up another nice fish here, you know, kind of similar size class, about 30 inches or so. And we got this fish the same way, just working back up to the rips and casting this parallel to the rip, basically presenting this to the bass just like the squid they're eating today. We really paid attention to how the fish were acting. You know, as the tide changed, as the velocity of the water increased, the fish would change the way they were feeding. So when we first arrived this morning, we found fish that were readily eating topwater plugs. And as that tide started to slow down a little bit, we switched gears and started getting them on jigs. You know, as things changed, we changed our approach. The fish have kind of gone subsurface on us, so we're just putting the presentation down to them. And so I just got hit right there. We're switching to jigs and looks like it's working. You know, we were marking them on the sounder, and basically we were just dropping our Squinnow jig down to the rough area where these fish were holding in the water column. At that point, it was really kind of a snap jig retrieve that they liked. So we would really just snap that jig, let it flutter back down, snap it again, let it flutter. And it was on the flutter, on the fall, that we would get most of our takes. First pass, the fish responded. We just set up tide like we were when we were casting topwater plugs. And got the presentation down there, so as we approached that hump that we're fishing, you know, we were ready once we came to the fish. Basically saw them on the fish finder and we were jigging, we almost immediately went tight. This morning we started off on some rips towards the sound, and as that bite started to shut down, we switched gears and found another pile of fish in slightly deeper water, but still on a similar type rip. So we just stayed with the moving water, but these fish were really, at our second spot, were really right up top, feeding on the surface, just sipping sand eels, and definitely a little spookier, a little trickier to get, but again, we found success with the Dog Walker, and you know, we really had to kind of be a little bit more visual, kind of keep an eye on where these fish were as they moved around. But you know, once we got an eye on them, we could kind of lead the school with the plug, and you know, with the plug right in front of them, they were responding well. Right here, dude, look at all those fish. These fish are pretty fun size and just blowing up on this plug left and right. We're on a crazy amount of fish out here. They're just sipping sand eels. We're throwing a sand eel colored Dog Walker here, and it's a great imitation of what they're eating, and they're responding to it pretty much immediately. You know, we're getting follows every cast. I think they're so tuned in on the sand eels that they're being a little bit finicky, but bright sun, light wind, so they were definitely finicky, a little bit picky, but the approach there was really to kind of get into them while they were feeding, which wasn't an aggressive feed by any means, but you could tell when they were feeding, when they're rolling on the surface. And, you know, leading these schools as they're pushing water, let's say to the right-hand side, we cast ahead of the school, bring our plug through them, and once we could see fish behind the plug, at that point we could kind of change our cadence accordingly and get those fish to react. So cool. We just came across literally thousands of fish, basically just sipping sand eels on the surface. just surrounded by fish. I mean, it's like, couldn't be more amazing right now. See if we can get a few more.